You guys.
No, that's not what we want. Hey guys, if you can hear me, my computer's being weird. Yeah, it shows that it's up. Huh. Alright. Why is Stream Deck being weird? Oh, great. Now everything's all messed up. Alright, go there. Hey guys, if you can hear me. And there goes the audio, so that's fine. I swear, everything was like, I've been working on getting this stupid OBS stuff down, and I just got it, and then there we go. Now it's working. Okay. For some reason it took me. Alright.
I'm just a streaming dirt.
Delayed credits. Well, not really credits.
Baby, come to my live stream. Don't say.
Alright, well that was all screwed up. Oh man, what a day. So, hope you guys are doing well. I'm still getting the hang of this, but if I've got this right, I think the super chats are working again. At least, well, this will be my first time trying it with OBS. So, if anybody, I'll try to do, let's say, everybody loves number 23. Let's try that. Let's see. Oh. See, I messed up. Why is a bunch of stuff going?
In the tradition of our Vulcan ways, is this right? The two of you must fight to the death and Kunat Calafi.
Alright. Well, hold on. Let me get back out. Breathe, get my moment of zen here. Alright. So, bear with me. Noise is going to be stupid for a moment, but I'm going to go back into the super chat screen and see if I can find where in that scene it's messed up.
In the tradition of our Vulcan ways, is this right? The two of you must fight to the death and Kunat Calafi.
There we go. So, I don't know why all those were playing. Just make sure that's not that. Okay. So now, let me try this. There we go. There we go. And look at that, I even played it before Yosef even put in the money for it. So I'll play it again, just for you, Yosef. Look at that. Hey, it actually worked. I'm shocked. Oh, and I hit the wrong button there. Alright, so I got to get used to this new layout that I did, so it's going to feel a little weird at first. By the way, since Bird is here, hey Bird, I found this classic old song that you will remember. So before you go, I know you're going to have dinner, so let me play just a snippet of this classic Bird O' Prey 5 original. Just one of the most beautiful songs you'll ever hear.
How are we going to be able to get it in the hole? That's the question. And that is the $1,000,000 question. It's not as easy to get in the hole as you think. Come on. Come on. Get. Ah, shit. Oh, well. It was a valiant attempt. But yeah, I think we're going to need something a little more specialized. Although, we could try to back it in. Come on. Come on. So close. Ah. Yes. Yes. Oh God, so close. Come on, just go in. Oh yes, the tip is in. That counts. That totally counts. Okay, okay. Ah. That's it. Okay. Okay, come on. No, no. No, no, we're right there. Right there. Oh, we're so close. We're so close. Yes! Hallelujah! Ah, fuck yeah. I love having sex with she-males.
There you go. Little classic Bird O' Prey 5 singing there. And so, yeah, that was actually, yeah, that was Bird. Anyway, so good to see y'all. Gonna try out this Path of Exile thing. I'll tell you, I've been playing around since the patch when I had a little bit of time here and there. I think I came up with an interesting build. If you want to play the game, it's completely free. You should download it. You should play it. It's a lot of fun. But I want to show off this guy a little bit, and then we'll see if Tim Christ shows up because he likes to play Path of Exile with me. So, but for real quick, Darth Maul was first in the chat. How you doing? Darth Revan's here. Moxley fans here. Justin's here. Thank you again, Yosef, for the $2. And then Zakro says Kumite or Kumet. Not sure why. Robert says hello. Also, hello, Bird of Prey. How you doing, Robert? Captain Trek says greetings. Yosef, oh wow, 2 Yosefs. Oh man, now I'm going to get confused. Yosef Levi says no mercy. Not sure why, but welcome. Then Yosef Petrick says greetings from the future. As always, as many of you know, Yosef does live in the future. Night Breeze is in the house. Says hi. How you doing, Night Breeze? Bird of Prey says, hey, is Andy Checker implying something sexual? No, I'm just playing your audio, buddy. I didn't imply anything. All I did was play what you recorded. So, you know, I'm not implying anything. I'm just playing from, it was from one of your live streams. You don't remember that? Darth Revan says, hope you're well. Thank you, my friend. Admiral Saval says, have I fixed the super chats? I was just testing it. Kinda, sorta, yes. So, I can't like run them all in sequence, but I can play them one at a time. So I'm still trying to test everything, but yes, it looks like it's working. Nightbreeze says I'm playing for a bit. Dinner in about 20 minutes. All right, well, let me bring up the game screen here. All right, so this is Path of Exile's Echoes of the Atlas. It was called Path of Exile Heist up until about a week ago, and so this is just the newest thing. And Professor Brainy Specs, no, that was just Bird's ambient music. That's what he's usually playing at the Au Prey residence. That's just the kind of stuff he likes to listen to. Anyway, so this character is not, super high level at this point. But let me go in here so you can kind of see. So he is a level 43 Templar, currently wielding a sword. I'd rather have a staff, but that's what I have available that has the right sockets. And pretty nifty. So I'm going to show you guys this guy's attack is just off the chain. If you've ever played this game, it's all about how do you chain your skills together properly to make the most out of a character. So in this particular case, his primary attack is right here. So it's Cyclone, which is, if you've ever played Diablo or a lot of other games that have barbarian type characters, it's the equivalent of Whirlwind, where the character just spins around in circles, hitting everything around him. And then there's a cast while channeling support gem. And so that means that if I put this gem on the linked socket, then while he's doing the cyclone, everything else in this sequence of gems will also trigger. And so with that is Hydrosphere, a new gem for this update to the game, which basically is a weird one, but so far I like it. Conductivity, which lowers monsters' resistances to lightning. Shock Nova, which hits them with lightning. And life gain on hit, so that every time I hit a mob, I'm gaining life back on it. So that way, because he is a little bit of a glass cannon, just because most of his points are spent towards intelligence-based stuff rather than strength, which is pretty typical if you're doing primarily a caster. All right, so, and let's see here. And by the way, I see you there, PJ. Good to see you, my friend. Hope that you are doing well. Looking forward to Thursday night. Don't know what we're talking about, but hey, well, I'm sure we'll have fun. All right, so let's go to, so I can show this guy off to you guys. I don't know if anybody's going to care or not, but hey, I'm still in a good mood, so why not? And, oops. All right, so this is where we currently, let's see, I don't think I killed the boss there yet, so let's go back there. That's where we're currently at in our little quest. So, number one, I have 2 Heralds. We activate those. So there's the Herald of Purity and Herald of Thunder. Herald of Purity, basically, whenever I kill someone, it summons a ghostly assistant, and I can have up to 4 of them, so they kind of hang out with me and help me. And then Herald of Thunder, whenever I have a shocked enemy that gets killed, it triggers a thunderstorm, which then will hit other enemies with lightning. So, all right, so here we go. You ready for this? So you can see he just kind of melts through the standard mobs pretty effectively. And so this is, so the whirlwind is obviously him spinning around. There's 2 area effect spells, one that follows, well actually 3. There's 2 of them that follow the mouse. Notice one of them is that ball that shows up. So if I stop, the ball will stay for a minute. And notice it's pulsing. So that's the Hydrosphere. And the way that Hydrosphere works is it basically creates a levitating ball of water, but that ball of water will then hit anything around you based on what you hit the ball with. So if you hit the ball with electricity, then it shocks them. If you hit it with fire, it burns them, etc. And so since this is mostly an electrical-based character, he shocks it, and then it shocks anybody in the area. And let's see. The only thing is, so it hasn't been triggering the Herald of Thunder, and I haven't figured out why that is yet, unless I'm doing something wrong. Oh, okay, yeah, I did that. Okay. So we can burn through the generic mobs pretty easily for the most part. Although you got to be careful, because like I said, he is kind of a glass cannon, so it doesn't take much to kill this guy. All right, here's a tribute area, which this is one of the new things with the Ritual League that we're in right now. This is part of the new update to the game. So in a ritual area, you notice there's a big circular area that we're in. Once you kill all the mobs in that area, then you're going to trigger the ritual, and it will spawn a new enhanced version of those same mobs you just killed. And before you trigger it, it's usually a good idea to know what exactly those mobs are going to be like. So we'll see that in just a second here. Once there's a couple of totems still. Anything else? Oh, there we go, right there. I think we got them all. Oh, there's one. All right. So monsters take reduced damage. Fortress totems further reduce the damage monsters take. So this is going to be basically the monsters are going to tank. So let's see what happens. So you can see they're dying much slower this time around, and you got to keep moving, because if they all surround you, you are dead in a matter of about a half a second. That's the one thing that kind of is annoying with Path of Exile is that it seems like there's only two ways you get hit. Either you're not affected at all, or like you die almost instantly. All right, we actually survived, and so then we can go in and we have 820 ritual points we can spend on various things that we have in here, and then we have one ritual remaining in this area. So let's see. Test says, don't play Path of Exile. They ban anyone that calls out the Chinese Communist Party. Whatever, dude. You know what? Why? First of all, Test. I don't know what you're talking about. But you know what I don't do when I get on video games and play? I don't talk about the Chinese Communist Party. I don't. How does that make any sense? And no, it is not spyware. I was actually a beta tester for these guys. They're in New Zealand. Anyway, but yeah, if you don't like it, you don't have to play it. But hey, whatever. So, and of course now somebody's trying to hit me on Skype when I'm in the middle of this, because that's how it always works. So let me see what's going on here. Let's see. Thomas. Thomas, I don't know if you're listening right now, but love the picture. And I know that's one of the mobs from that Left 4 Dead. Anyway, so let's see. Rock Solid is in the house. Good to see you, Rock Solid. Hope you doing well. I saw you were hanging out with Bird a little while ago, kind of going over the algorithm and stuff. Sounds like you've been doing pretty good lately. Congrats, by the way, you're on your sub growth recently. So, but good to see you, my friend. And let's see. And let's see. And then Test removed those messages for whatever reason. Yes, and I do hope Thomas comes back. And Thomas, I mean, I know that Thomas, he's a good guy. He's been struggling with a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, which I can't blame him. I mean, who hasn't been? It's funny because while I was rebuilding the super chats for the live stream, I found one that I completely forgot about that we did, and it's basically a prediction of what the world was going to be like 2 months or three. Let's see, well, a little about 2 months from now. So I'll play that for you guys in a little bit, but I completely forgot about it. It's our first Corona chat, super chat. Josh says, is this the game world taken after Bird destroyed Caroga with weapons? Well, this game is set in Caroga. Now, because of some pending lawsuits, they don't call it Caroga in the game because, of course, Bird doesn't like the truth of Caroga coming out. So instead, they call it Rayclast. But it takes place in Caroga. So this is, in fact, what Caroga looks like. Most people don't realize it because the only thing they ever see of Caroga is the interior of Bird's house. But they don't realize that Bird's house is literally the only place that is fit for a human being to actually live. And even that's kind of a stretch. I mean, it's okay, I guess, if you're a clone. But, which Bird is a clone, in case you didn't know that. And John DeMarco also says, if you're listening, Thomas, we want you back indeed. Hey, and I appreciate you guys saying that because I know that, we all miss him, and Thomas is a good guy. I love that leap slam. Helps make shortcuts. So, let's see. But yeah, this is, there's all sorts of interesting Caroga landmarks in here, like the famous Carogan sewers, which of course is where many Carogans, where they call home, because they're not allowed to live on the surface world because only Bird is. And I know a lot of you guys think I give Bird a hard time and I'm being unfair, but I mean, I have the video proof. Which I might maybe I'll play it for you later, but You know, I did find that too, is the footage that was smuggled out of Caroga by Thomas Potts, actually. Interestingly enough, Thomas Potts has been the bane of Carogan's existence for a very long time. All right, let's take a look here. And we have 1,400 tribute, so let's see. Let's see. Nightbreeze says, have fun. If you're still on after dinner, I'll be back. All right, I'll probably be here for an hour or two. So if you're done with dinner and I'm still streaming, please come back, hang out. If Thomas Potts back, I'll resubscribe and donate to me. Wow. Wow. So you hear, Rock Solid will actually resubscribe. Of course, you didn't tell me you're always unsubscribing, so, you know, there's that. I just kind of have to assume you're unsubscribed most of the time. Ooh, there's a unique knife, which I don't really need it, but I like collecting unique items. Let's see. So we'll probably defer that one. And there's another fossil in here. Whoops. Let's see. So we'll defer the fossil. And we'll defer that. All right. And then we'll buy this fossil. And anything else really good here? No, we'll defer that. And so basically you spend your tribute on whatever looks good, and there you go. And then when you have extra tribute points, just defer stuff at random or anything whatever the best stuff in there is, because it's not like you're gonna, you can't save it. Once you leave the area, that tribute is gone. So what I usually do is I'll usually defer any currency first, particularly high value currency if it's ever in there. I usually go for unique items because, even if I don't want to use them myself, I can put them up for trade and get more currency out of them. That's there's a lot of different ways to play this. Damien says, just watch the new Batwoman punch a man's face off his head because he smashed her pot plant. I mean, this is supposed to be the hero. What did I just watch? I have not seen the Batwoman show at all. I have not watched a single episode. I'm not going to watch a single episode because it's not like this is going to be a shock to anybody. I mean, from the way that people are describing the show, it's exactly what it's advertised to be. And so why would I watch? No, I don't really have a vested a vested interest in Batwoman anyway as a character. I don't have a single comic book that features Batwoman. Because I stopped collecting comics long before Batwoman was ever a thing. And on top, so I don't really have any interest in it because of like history with the comics or anything like that. And the way the show is advertised, as soon as she said that the bat suit would be perfect once it's made for a woman, I was like, yeah, no, thank you. I don't care, like Batgirl was cool enough and all that, but hey, if you got to say no, she's better than Batman because she's a woman. Yeah, I'm done. I don't care. I'm not interested in that kind of propaganda crap. And granted, maybe it'll become an awesome show if I hear that from people that I trust that the show has gotten good. Maybe I'll check it out, but I doubt it because I still don't give a crap about that character. And quite frankly, the CW superhero shows have all pretty much. Some of them were good at first, but I've given up on every one of them. So I'm not watching anything on the CW. Not because of any disdain for the CW. I've just yet to find a show on the CW that I enjoy. Rockstar says, I haven't been subscribed since last summer. No subbing, unsubbing. Well, Rockstar, I know, sometimes you get mad at me and you disappear. And I didn't know what you were doing. I was leaving you alone because, hey, you know what? I know you got your retro gaming stuff to do, and I got nothing but respect for you, man. And you're still my 10,000th sub. That video is still up on my channel page, so you know what? That's still a thing. But I hope you're doing well. I saw that, when you were showing Bird some of the analytics stuff, you've had some great growth on your channel, so that's awesome, man. And Josh is singing for Thomas to come back. I don't know if Thomas is here, but I don't think I'm going to sing that because I don't think you guys want to suffer through that. Maybe I'll play some Bird singing later to make up for it. All right, so this is where, when you get into these boss fights, that's where things get a little ugly. As you can see, I mean, he hits you once and your energy shield is gone and half your health. So it's like, it's kind of, that's the one thing I really, really don't like about the way the game is structured is, honestly, the boss fights feel a little cheap. And I don't like that. I think that they should... I'm not saying the bosses shouldn't be hard, but, I mean, basically, it's just, if they... See, look at that. If they hit you, you die. And that's just annoying as all heck. Really? Really? What? Wow, this is going to take a while. All right. Well, I got his health down to like half. Let my tower do its work before I resurrect. That's actually a way to cheat, but I don't care at this point because I think that the boss battles are kind of a cheat in themselves. Wow. All right. Almost there. See, it's like all you can do is sit there and hope that you can hit him enough times before you die. There we go. And so Darth Raven says, I'm stuck around 52 subs, bit more on any advice on hitting 100. I would say, honestly, talk to Rock Solid. Listening to what he was telling Bird, yeah, he's got a really good handle on how the best way to grow your channel is. Now, I'll be honest, and this is something Rock Solid I did not even know about until I was watching that. I didn't know about the YouTube Shorts thing. I didn't know that was even a thing. So you educated me on that, and I might check it out. I don't know, what I would do shorts on, because shorts are supposed to be a 1 minute or less from video, right? And it sounds like you have to do it in vertical format, which I hate vertical format, but there are ways to cheat that. Maybe I'll take some of the super chats and turn them into shorts. That'd be fun. Let's see. So speaking of which, let me go here. I want to test this. And so because people think I give Caroga a hard time, and I don't. And Jaeger, thank you so much. Puts $5 in. Let me see if the announcement works on this screen. We'll give it a minute. It should, because I think there we go.
Jaeger bomb to $5.
Hey.
For serious good job on making a good version of STD. Took lemons and made your own lemonade. Would love to see more and other shows improved by you.
Thank you, Jaeger. Thank you so much. And you know what? I just, before I started this live stream, while Bird was streaming, I just finished writing the next part of that series. It's going to be rewriting the Vulcan Hello. And so I'm going to be editing that after this live stream tonight and probably tomorrow, and hopefully have it up to the Patreons by the end of the day tomorrow, and then have it available to the general public next Monday. And so what I'm going to shoot for is to get an episode out every Monday until I can build up, get a little ahead of it, and then and start to put other stuff out too. And this is my first week on the new schedule, so I had to spend, I literally spent about 6 hours today just getting OBS set up so that I could play the super chats and stuff. And since you put the super chat in, Jaeger, then you will get the video proof of exactly what kind of place Caroga is. So if you don't believe me, you're going to see with your own eyes Caroga.
Welcome to Caroga.
Why is it so big?
Hello world, it's me, Bird of Prey 5, and I have to say I am very proud of the fine people at Caroga's Fine University. And yes, it's called Fine University, or FU. And at FU, we have a great women's studies program. Just look at this professor educating a woman. Also, I wanted to let you know that Caroga cares about its citizens. Just look at this fine border wall. It's designed to protect the citizens, and there's no way anyone could ever get past this fence. Also, guys, check out my nice Jeep. I just love to drive all around in my Jeep and say hi to the guards around my palace, and also check out the great free housing for Carogan citizens. You know I'm in great shape too. Here's some footage of me driving my trusty Jeep around Caroga and hiking up a hill. I am such an athlete. Oh look, it's my good pal Abergam. Hi Abergam. And did I mention orphans? We have a great work program for the orphans. And the best part is that they can quit anytime they want and go into the private sector. Right? Here's a group quitting right now. I am done, so I'm ending the stream and eating dinner. Too bad Mama Prey will not get to eat tonight. Maybe next week. Free Mama Prey. She's already free.
Oh no, I'm not.
Someone says Thomas Potts is going to try to get through that fence, but there's no way it would ever work. Not even a tank could get through our wall. Son of a bitch!
So there it is. The official Carogan documentary. 100% real. That is what Caroga is all about. And so let's get back here, see. Okay, there's that. We got a fossil. I think, isn't there a... Yeah. I'm still learning a lot of the stuff, how this game works, but trying to get there. And these flash things are interesting too, so that's another thing I'm trying to learn about, how they work. And I'm not going to spend too much time on that right now. Let's see. Entry, you should pay Bird of Prey 5 every time you play his credit. Well, I will as soon as he pays me all the money he owes me, but, you know, which I'm sure he will. I mean, but not in Carogan currency. He keeps trying to send this Carogan currency over, but yeah. Not, you know, that's not going to happen. But thank you for the suggestion, Professor. I will take that into due consideration. All right, let's see. Let's level up the gems. And now we got to go back and kill the other boss. Bird owes you. Oh, yeah, Professor Mainstream. Bird owes me a lot. And he'll deny it, of course, because, you know, he's Bird. He lies about everything. Well, not everything. Well, actually, yeah, pretty much everything. Can't think of anything he doesn't lie about, but I'm sure there's something out there that he doesn't lie about. Right. I mean, I think he genuinely has affection for his little clone, Charlie. But, you know, he lies about Charlie being a clone. I don't know why. It's not like, I mean, hey, we all know that, you know, unfortunately, because of the problems in the cloning process, Birds O' Prey, the series, can't reproduce biologically, so they have to do cloning, and that's what they've done. That's why he is Bird O' Prey 5, Charlie will be known as Bird of Prey 6. But much like if you've never read 1984, what they do in Caroga, it's a very similar system, is they simply rewrite history. And then anybody in Caroga is legally obligated to follow the new history as if it's always been true. So people think that Bird of Prey 5 was the result of biological reproduction. And that Mamo Prey is his mom, which I understand, but that's not how it actually worked. And so when Charlie becomes Bird of Prey 6, they're gonna rewrite it that he's always been Bird of Prey 6. Just like people think Bird of Prey 5 has always been Bird of Prey 5, but he actually had a different code name before, as just like Charlie has one now. And it's just so that people don't get confused. The Carogans are a simple people, and things like numbers are beyond most Carogans' understanding. We try to help them, but unfortunately, the Carogan government is always trying to prevent any kind of educational material getting into Caroga, because the last thing the Carogan government wants is educated Carogans. That would be disastrous for them, because then they would realize how horrible their leader actually is. And Sci-Fi Nation is in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Says, I tuned in Anti-Trigger spreading more lies and fake news about the great nation state of Caroga. I know you believe that. It's part of the Carogan re-education program. It's not your fault, Sci-Fi Nation. It's not your fault, but, it is what it is. One day, hopefully, you will know the truth. But for now, you're living in ignorance. Which is understandable. You're Carogan. I mean, because the problem is, Carogans are only fall into two categories. You're either ignorant of the truth, or you're evil because you're willingly going along with the most evil dictator in the history of planet Earth. And I know that most people wouldn't go along if they knew about Bird eating, orphans and drinking their tears and that kind of thing. I mean, most people would be shocked and appalled by it. But, Carogans mostly live in denial, or they think that the orphans aren't actual people, that's just a little joke that they do. But unfortunately, no, it is true. Bird of Prey 5 does, in fact, drink the tears of orphans and feeds on their bodies. And in fact, he usually eats them while they're still alive. He just brings one in and starts gnawing on it while it's still alive. Poor guy or girl is just suffering. I mean, could you imagine being slowly devoured by Bird of Prey 5? What a horrible way to die. But it is what it is. And Eastland is in the house, says, Hail Caroga. You see, all these poor delusional Carogans. I feel for you guys. I really do. I hope that one day you guys will see the light and join the Turdistanis. And that's where, Sci-Fi is defending the eating of the children, so therefore I would assume that Sci-Fi Nation falls into the evil category. But, that's fine if that's the way you want to do it. That's it's sick and it's wrong and okay, whatever. When that just, the good thing is that the Carogans that are proud of things like that, the good thing about that is that it'll be easy to, we don't have to try and figure out who's evil and who's not, because the ones that defend him are clearly just evil. And Sean, thank you so much.
Easy £2. Picard the series has ruined all good things.
Oh, cool! It actually says the correct denomination. I didn't know that, so it said £2. I don't know why it's saying the dollar amount, but because I didn't tell it to, but that's probably part of the update. But thank you, Sean. Yeah, Picard the series ruined all good things. I don't know how do you think it ruined all good things specifically? I mean, other than you could argue, since it was the the future in All Good Things was a possible future, and that's not the actual future. And so even though Picard didn't suffer from the disorder, I can't remember what it's called now, but the disorder that was, basically like space dementia, doesn't mean he doesn't still have that in his brain as a potential thing. I think that, Picard is a series, I mean, it failed. There's no denying that, but, that's, unfortunately, I thought that it was intriguing for the first few episodes, and then it just completely went off the rails. I mean, the fact that the funny thing is that it's like we got the best looking Borg ship in the history of Trek, and, and then they promptly just, they did a total Boba Fett on the Borg, right? Where they, it's like, ooh, they're building up this whole Borg thing, and then at the end, oh yeah, the Borg, yeah, they're just dead now. So hope you enjoyed seeing their ship and seeing 10 seconds of the Borg being the Borg, and then they're all dead. So that's what ruined the show for me more than the thought of what it did to All Good Things, was the fact that they completely just, because the Borg are still, in my opinion, the best villain that TNG came up with by a significant amount. And in fact, I would even say the best villain in all of Trek, except that they got ruined in the, basically almost as quickly as they became awesome, they become crap. Really where the Borg fell apart was Descent. They had a chance to recover with First Contact, and they did not. Because in First Contact, of course, they brought us the Queen, and then Voyager decided, you know what, hold my beer, we can make it much worse. And so, which, to their credit, Voyager did manage to take what was already a ruined Borg and make it to where, wow, now the Borg just plain suck. So, yeah. Daniel's in the house, says, hey, Andrew, you want to know something about Star Trek Enterprise Season 5? It would have come on. You know what? Honestly, doesn't matter. It didn't happen. And so, I would have loved to have seen Enterprise continue for the full 7 seasons like the other shows. It didn't get its chance, which is too bad. But, yeah, it didn't. And we just got to live with that. Robert says, Biden's HHS pick, I'm not sure who or what HHS is for, is a man that identifies as a woman. Yeah, Americans, we are done as a free country. Well, first of all, it's that Housing and Human Services. Is that what it is? Maybe HHS. Honestly, if the director of Housing and Human Services is a transgender, that doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care. And in fact, one thing that drives me crazy is when they make it like it's a big deal that a person is a specific gender or ethnicity or identifies as this or identifies as that. Quite frankly, I don't care. I do not care if the person is transgender. What I care about is, can they do their job? And so, and as far as I know, your sexual identity or whatever you want to call it these days is not a necessary prerequisite of being the director of Housing and Human Services, or however the proper way to say that is. And quite frankly, it's not newsworthy. But I don't think that while I don't think it's a hey, what a great triumph that we have someone who identifies as something that they're not is the director of Housing and Human Services. I also don't think it's a negative per se. It's just something that you could say about that person. But don't care. That's just my 2 cents on it, Robert. But yeah, I haven't heard anything about that. Let's see. And Donnie says, I am so looking forward to a new era in America. Okay. Enterprise Season 5 would have been about time travel. Daniels would have I don't, Daniel, or yeah, Daniel's Hot Topics. It does not matter. It doesn't matter. What would have been, should have been, could have been. And you know what? I don't even know, I don't know where you're getting that information from. But quite frankly, unless it's from Brennan and Braga, then probably isn't true anyway. It's probably speculations. There may have been some story treatments done. That doesn't mean that's exactly what it would have been. But again, does not matter, ultimately. And Caroga Knight is in the house, says Viva Caroga, Caroga forever. Yeah, I would expect someone called Caroga Knight to say that. But, of course, Caroga Knight is excreted from Bird of Prey. And Dinner Bell says, unfortunately, gender politics are important than just politics, are more important than just politics. Well, I know they are to some people, but they're not to me. I mean, you people can scream about what their identity is all day long. I don't care, and I'm not going to care no matter how much you scream about it, because it's irrelevant. Are you capable of being the director of Housing and Human Services? Yes. Okay, move on. No? Okay, find somebody else. That's the end of it for me. But the problem is, and honestly, I think there's problems on both sides of it. I think there's problems on the left because they think that somehow, have it being a minority in that respect makes you more qualified or something, or it's like, somehow makes it better in some way, which it does not. And then people on the right think that it's a negative, which it is not. It's honestly, that's the problem. If you think that it's relevant, that's a problem. To me, it is 100% irrelevant. And that's the only position I'm going to take on it, because that's the only logical position, in my opinion. Now, if you have a cabinet position that's like the director of sexual identity or something, okay, well, then it would be relevant. But, in this particular case, it is not relevant in any way, shape, or form. So, as the old saying goes, I could not care less. And let's see. Dr. Alex is in the house. Hello, Doctor. And Daniel says, who would have started during the Romulan Earth War? Daniel. Love you, buddy. Don't care. Love you. But I don't care. I know you get worked up about this stuff, but I genuinely don't know why. That's just, I know that's your thing. But, that's the kind of stuff. I mean, honestly, I'm sure Midnight's Edge talks about that kind of stuff. I don't know if Doomcock talks about anything positive anymore, but, he might talk about it. Nerdrotic might talk about it, but I don't deal with, that's what they were going to do but didn't, because to me that's not news, because you could literally say anything. Hey, you know what? In season 5, they were going to make T'Pol transgendered. Prove I'm wrong. And it still doesn't matter because, there was no season 5. And let's see. Robert says, very true. Well, myself as a Christian doesn't matter, and I'm also watching the first TV live on YouTube. Wait. Let's see. Well, myself as a Christian, it does matter. Why? And I'm a Christian as well, Robert, and it still doesn't matter, because as a Christian, you are called, and it says specifically in the Bible that you are not to judge non-Christians because they are non-Christians. And as far as if they are serving the public and this is their job description, the only thing that matters is, can they do that job? And by the way, I know plenty of Christians that also think Trump was the greatest guy ever, and Trump, from a Christian perspective, was a horrible guy. I'm not talking about his policies, I'm talking about him. Trump claimed to be a Christian and behaved in one of the most non-Christian manners I've ever seen any president behave in the history of this country. And so, you know what, if unless and as far as I know, I haven't heard you really speak out on it, Robert. But unless you were out there railing on Trump for the same thing, this shouldn't matter to you either. That's just my opinion on it. But I don't want to get into a whole Trump thing. I mean, come on, his presidency is going to be over in 24 hours. Let's see. Dan says, you see the video I gave you on Skype? Nitpicking Nerd talks about what he thinks of Section 31. I saw you sent it to me. I did not watch it because, Daniel, I don't care. Daniel, I really don't understand. I don't care. I don't get me wrong. When Section 31, if they ever produce a Section 31 show, I will watch it and I will give my opinion as it comes out. Until then, they can talk about it till they're blue in the face. It means nothing until it's an actual show. Dr. Alex says, I had to touch on the mire of gender politics in fiction where I talked about the female doctor and how they screwed it up. And yeah, I know. And that's the problem is that, people inserting this stuff, it just, it's infuriating sometimes because, again, you're creating a problem that doesn't need to be there. The original Trek and Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise, they didn't have to advertise all over the place about how diverse Trek was. It just was. Now, I do remember that when Voyager was getting ready to come out, they did say, ooh, now we have a female captain. And the reaction from me was, ooh, so what? But, and it's not like, people were shocked that Cisco was black or anything. But that's kind of how they roll. So there's one ritual remaining, so that must be considered the same area. So that's fine. And let's see. What does my shirt say? My shirt says, please cancel my subscription to your issues. That's how I feel right now as far as with all the political crap going on. I'm so tired of people on the left and the right with their, holier than their attitudes on both sides, trying to talk about how the world is either about to come to an end or about to be saved because of the transition from Trump to Biden. Quite frankly, didn't vote for either one of them. I don't think the world is going to end because of Biden, nor do I think that suddenly it's going to be saved because of Biden. So that's just my humble opinion on it. And people that are overreacting about it one way or the other, granted, it does tend to happen every 4 years, but this year, Trump derangement syndrome is alive and well on both sides of the political aisle. People obsessing in both ways, and quite frankly, I don't care which way it is. If you're obsessing over it like that, you're wrong. That's just me. That's my opinion. Nothing more. I'm not a political analyst, and that's just what I think. Any favorite Deep Space Nine episodes you think are underrated? The Magnificent Ferengi I really enjoy that episode, and I think that one is underrated. Also, the Gemhadar, even though that's one, like a lot of people give that episode credit for starting, basically really getting into the Dominion arc proper in that episode. A lot of people miss the fact that that's the episode that redeems the Ferengi from what Gene Roddenberry tried to make the Ferengi into in TNG. And that episode, the Gemhadar, is really when the Ferengi became interesting. And so I love that episode for that. And let's see. And Robert says, no, I don't agree with Trump with everything. Biden had already talking about doing away with the Keystone pipeline deal. Well, the Keystone pipeline deal, honestly, I'm not as overtly concerned about. It's funny because I know that like there are people that are worried about like for healthcare, right? And I think it's kind of hilarious because, on the one hand, you have people that think that Obamacare was completely destroyed by Trump, and other people that think that, Obamacare was saved by Trump, right? Because everybody's got to be extreme about everything. Oh, look. And one of the things, I was arguing with a friend of mine who is a Trump supporter, and they were talking about how great it is because thanks to Trump, prescription drugs are now cheaper. And, funny, and this is a true story, my wife has to take a few prescription medications, and one of them, when she filled it at last time, was $10, and this time it's $80 for the same medication, same manufacturer, same pharmacy, but yeah, the price went up by 800%. Woohoo! Yeah, prices are going in the right direction, right? And Dr. Alex says, yes, most good shows do diversity without trying. It's called natural, unforced good writing. See Expanse, Orville, Original Trek, Red Dwarf, Farscape. Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. The way you make diversity work is like you don't have to have, when the series is about to premiere, you don't have to have like 10 moments in the first episode about how amazing it is that Uhura is black and on the bridge, right? And the funny thing is that when I didn't even use it in my critique of the Vulcan Hello, which I just finished writing my rewrite for the Vulcan Hello today, but I didn't even use this because I'm trying to avoid a lot of the political stuff, and it just wasn't worth opening the can of worms over. But one of the things that I thought was interesting was that the white male admiral, I can't remember what his name was, but who dies in the second episode. But when Burnham is talking about how aggressive the Klingons are, he literally tells Burnham to her face how she, of all people, should know better than to make assumptions about someone because of race. And I was like, what the hell does that supposed to mean? What, because you're black, you shouldn't make assumptions about Klingons? And since when does being black in the 23rd century mean anything? Because it didn't, 11 years later on the original series, they but whatever. And let's see. Robert says, "Hey Trey, there's already states talking about seceding from the Union." Yeah, you know what? They're not. It's not going to happen because what are they going to do? I mean, think about it. If a state like Texas wanted to secede, and because I know some people try to argue, which I know Matthew, who lives in Texas, was saying how it's basically a false argument. I'm not an expert on it, but people have argued that Texas has the right to secede, right? And so let's say they do. Fine. So Texas can secede. How are they going to survive on their own? I mean, honestly, how are they going to do it? Is the Texas economy strong enough for them to just go on their own? Because I don't think it is. But people are going to rattle sabers every time there's an election, and that's just the way people are. And it's annoying, but that's what it is. And let's see. Orb of Regrets are good. And might as well just do the currency items. Wow, I still have more. Anything really worth looking at here? 233 armor, 185 energy shield. But yeah, nothing really great on the socket side, so no. We don't need to defer anything else because I'm not going to pay for it later anyway. Bird says, that was about being human raised by Vulcans, nothing about being black. Really? Well, they didn't say it. I mean, that's your assumption, which maybe you're right. But honestly, to me, that seemed like he was saying that because she was black. And keep in mind that at that point in the show, we didn't know much about Burnham. And so, like, we didn't know that Sarek was her adopted father at that point, unless you just, read the articles on it. But even if that is the case, it's still a stupid line. Why would anybody point at someone to say, well, what? Because you were adopted by Vulcans, that means you shouldn't make assumptions about Klingons? She was actually speaking facts about the Klingons. The Klingons are a culturally violent people. But while I know that they're trying to make him out to be an idiot because he's Mr. White Male Admiral, but at the same time, I don't think you could be at that rank in Starfleet and not understand at least the basics of Klingon culture. And Daniel says, Andrew, I saw your Star Trek 2.0 video. Sounds like a lot. Sounds a lot like what I would have done, but I would have put the show in the year 2425, and the Klingons would have been enemies of the Federation because the Klingons would have been back as enemies because back in 2387, when the Romulans destroyed the Hobus system, Klingons tried to move in and take that territory, but the Federation stopped them. Well, that's kind of where we were going with it. But the reason that I was actually going to originally do 2423 was going to be the year. But first of all, the actual date of the year is not that important as long as it takes place after what we've had before. But the reason that I pushed it back to 2405 was so that Lorca could be the same age he was in the show and still be a veteran of the Dominion War. Because if it was set in the year 2425, then Lorca would have to be in his late 60s, early 70s, and that wouldn't work. So I would prefer for Lorca to stay at the age that he was. Yes, Texas and County are strong enough to be on their own. Okay, if you say so. I don't think they are. I'm sorry. I don't buy for a minute that Texas is going to survive on its own. Based on what? Oil alone? I mean, do they and what are they going to do when is the Texas dollar going to be able to I don't know. I don't think it'll work. But I don't think they're going to secede anyway because I don't think they're stupid. And I don't think that there's truly enough support to do it. I think that, there are very few states where on a statewide level you would have that level of a majority that people would actually be willing to go to war with the United States of America because they're pissed off about Biden getting elected. Now, I'm sure that those people exist, but I don't think they're the majority. I think you're talking about a minority of of people that would actually go for it. But we'll see. I don't think it's going to happen. But if it does, it does. Control the controllables, but let go of the things you can't. I don't live in Texas. I don't have a say in it. So I'm not going to sweat it. Here in Tennessee, nobody is talking about seceding. Maybe because they're a little more sane here. I don't know. But honestly, the problem is that people are always convinced that whatever their opinion is what everybody thinks. And that really bugs me more than almost anything else with all this stuff, is that I keep hearing people say, oh, the vast majority of people think that, and then they'll say some extreme viewpoint on something. And it's like, if that's what the vast majority of people actually thought, then we wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now. Not because it would be better or worse, but just because it would be decided. Let's see. Dr. Alex says, politics aside from out, just opened a Rumble account. Do you have any thoughts on it? Never heard of it. It's honestly, I've never heard of Rumble. Robert says, Andrew, also the first TV where Bill O'Reilly went to. The first TV is where Bill O'Reilly went to. The first TV. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Robert. I know you said that you were watching the first TV on YouTube, but I didn't know that was so the first TV is a thing? Don't know what that is. The right for states to secede is in the Constitution. Yeah, good luck with that. That's all I'm going to say, Robert. Good luck with that. because, some people try to argue that it's unconstitutional to have an income tax. Income tax ain't going anywhere. So, you know what? People try to argue that they have a constitutional right to not wear a mask, which is, by the way, a load of crap. But, have fun with that. And that's something that, but I understand it's frustrating. The election is over. Biden gets sworn in tomorrow. Build a bridge and get over it. Because, you know what? Seceding from the nation is not going to fix a damn thing. Let's see. Yeah, but in Star Trek, they could have science keeps people younger longer, so a 60-year-old could look like a 40-year-old. Yeah, they could say that, but you know what, Daniel? Here's the problem. Actors don't stop aging just because the story says they do. That's actually a constant problem when you're dealing with characters that are supposedly immortal. Like, for example, let's say that 10 years from now, they want to make another Wonder Woman, but now Gal Gadot has obviously aged, right? But Wonder Woman is like thousands of years old. Same thing with Chris Hemsworth playing Thor. You have to, you run into problems with that. Because then you got to, they got space disease that made them suddenly age. Because why not? How about you just set the time where the age would be correct? Why are you hung up on 24-25? Anybody remember when the U.S. was supposed to become Muslim when Obama was elected? Yes, I do remember that. I guess that didn't happen, huh? And that's the thing. People think, and I'm sorry, and I know for some reason you guys keep wanting to talk about the presidential politics, which is not my bag, but hey, whatever, we'll talk about it. Look, if I understand that a lot of people, there are plenty of people out there that do not like Trump. There are plenty of people out there that do not like Biden. However, you know how much your life is going to change tomorrow because Biden is sworn in? Not one damn bit. All right? Honestly, it's not, the world is not going to suddenly shift from the right to the left. And you know what? If a Republican gets elected 4 years from now, guess what? It's not going to suddenly shift from the left to the right. It doesn't work that way. It never has. And so, people think, oh my God, and you're right. When Obama was elected, people were scared that the country was going Muslim because his name was Barack. Guess it didn't happen, right? People think that, oh yeah, we're going to become socialists now because Biden is elected. Look, if, obviously if someone like Bernie Sanders got his way, sure, we would be socialists. But I don't think Biden really is going to push that far. But even if he tried to, guess what? It ain't going to happen. We live in a fascist country. We've lived in a fascist country for some time, and we will continue to live in a fascist country. The problem is that since everybody has, it's funny because it really is like Orwell's 1984, where we keep rewriting things to mean different things. And so the funny thing is you keep hearing from the political left how fascism is right-wing, and you keep hearing from the political right how fascism is left-wing. Guess what? It's neither. And fascism is, in fact, what we've got. But instead, what people think fascism is exactly what we got in Germany in the 1940s, right? That's because Germany in the 1940s was fascist, but that wasn't the single defining thing about their system. And fascism was actually quite popular in those days because it's very populist. It sounds great because you start promising everything to the people, and you try to talk out of both sides of your mouth where you want say some things conservative, some things liberal, and you end up with governmental control over everything. And and that's what we've got. Now, when I say fascism, by the way, I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying that's what it is. It's basically, when you look at it, if you look at things like on the far, far left, you have communism, right? That's as far left as it goes. And communism, basically, the economy and the state are one and the same, right? There is no personal property. Everything is the state. Everybody is the state. The state is everybody. The state is everything. Now, then on the far, far right, if you go as far as it goes, it would be laissez-faire capitalism, or in the modern terminology, hard libertarianism, where the government basically does next to nothing, right? The government does not intervene in the economy at all. It is entirely privatized. The only thing the government does is provide national defense and, deal with criminal elements. But outside of that, the government, and infrastructure, but outside of that, the government does almost nothing. So those are the extremes. As you kind of move towards the middle, you have differing ways of having the economics of a system work, right? And the funny thing is when capitalism and communism kind of hit that perfect halfway point, then that's where you get fascism. And so where in left of center, you have basically socialism, right? Where socialism is, where the government is in direct control of much of the private sector, but it's still considered the private sector. On the near right, you have capitalism, right? Which is what theoretically, some people say the United States is, but it really isn't. And then in dead center, you have this fascist element, which is that the government controls, but not directly. And so in socialism, the government actually has direct control, right? A perfect example of a socialism or a socialist type of enterprise would be like the United States Post Office, right? Where postal employees are private citizens, right? They have jobs and everything. And the post office is technically not a government agency. They're just, controlled by the government directly. Now, in fascism, the government controls everything through strict regulation. So everything that a company does is a matter of law. That you are told that this is how if you want to make widgets, you're the XYZ company and you want to make widgets, well, the government tells you exactly how you can make your widgets and what you can sell them for and all that. And it's basically the government indirectly controlling the economy. And that's what we do in the United States. And people don't realize it because they don't understand that large companies have got hundreds and thousands of attorneys and accountants and stuff just to try and make sure they comply with all the ridiculous levels of regulation that the government is constantly handing down. What a lot of people don't realize, like if you have basic cable, you have Comcast or Charter or whoever your cable provider is, the channel lineup on your basic cable that people bitch about and they say, why can't I just buy my channels individually because I don't want, this package? Yeah, that's set by the government. Your bill? Yeah, that's set by the government. Comcast doesn't really get a whole lot of say in that. They can choose whether or not to include various premium channels, and they have power of negotiation there. But as far as your standard stuff, yeah, they don't have a choice. What you get in your basic cable package is completely set up by your local government. But people think that we're capitalist. Whatever, we don't. Anyway, back to the chat. Benny says, anybody read that? Can't wait till tomorrow morning. Well, like I said, I'm not excited about Biden being sworn in, nor am I afraid of it. It's just going to happen. That's right. Look how much Janice Rand aged from TOS to TMP. Yes, she certainly did. But of course, she had a hard period in her life at that point. And yes, time does indeed get us all in the end. That's true. Because further the time, the more advanced the tech, and I want to see super cool tech. Well, the problem is, Daniel, I already said, the tech and Discovery already is more advanced than anything we've seen before. And quite frankly, I think the tech is too advanced in Voyager. And you may disagree with me on this, but I don't want the computer to do everything. I don't want the computer to be omnipotent. I don't want the computer to be, just because honestly, one of the things I miss, like one of the things I didn't like about Geordi as an engineer was to Geordi fixing something was telling the computer to fix it. Whereas Scotty would have to roll up his sleeves, grab a wrench and get in there and try and fix it. right? Same with Tucker. But Jordy, no, computer, run a level 5 diagnostic. Okay, great. All right, Captain, it's working now. That's not exciting. But, to me, if the tech doesn't feel real, it's not as fun. And when tech becomes magic, I tune out. And that's a problem I had with Voyager a lot. Because the tech in Voyager was genuinely just magic. Especially the deflector dish. The deflector dish could do freaking anything. Barrett says, I don't want to see America become like California, so South Carolina wants to secede. I'm all for it. Biden is not my president since the election was rigged. Robert, whatever. You know what? Every election is rigged. Every election that you've ever seen has been rigged, and nobody cares. Because you know who it's rigged by? It's rigged by two groups. Those two groups are called Republicans and Democrats, and they've rigged every single election, especially in the modern age. Because if you're not a Republican or a Democrat, you're not welcome. So don't give me some crap and whining about how it's rigged. It's been rigged every single time, and you're just more angry because your guy lost. And quite frankly, you want to say that you don't like Biden's choice for housing and human services because you're a Christian. Why do you accept Trump if you're a Christian? I've never seen a president who actually brags about sexual assault supported by so many Christians. I don't understand that at all. I genuinely don't understand why there are Christians that virtually worship the guy. I do not get it. And let's see. And Sci-Fi Nation, I actually agree with you. Biden is bought and paid for by the same people who own the Republicans, the entire establishment. Well, the establishment is the Democrats and the Republican Party. They're the ones, they work together to keep everybody else out. They don't want libertarians. They don't want Greens. They don't want people with real ideas that can fix things. They like, and in fact, and again, it goes back to like 1984. You keep the people occupied with the fight, and they won't be looking at you. So people are so obsessed over what the gender identity of some secretary that Biden's going to appoint, that they're not really paying attention to the real big things. They're just, we're going to argue about abortion for another 4 years, right? Instead of actually talking about how to fix the economy. But that's just the way we're going to do it. I wonder if Daystrom ever perfected multitronics as witnessed on TNG onwards as far as ship's computers. Honestly, Sci-Fi Nation, I would say the data would be the ultimate expression of that, going to positronic. Because obviously the computer of the TNG era doesn't pilot itself, or doesn't pilot the ship. So the automated systems are definitely more sophisticated in TNG, but you still need a crew. And so I don't, that's just from what we see. Captain Trek says, I hate to say this, I agree with you, it's painful, but you're right about the Trek tech. Yeah, if you take the tech too far, you take out drama. And that's a genuine problem with Star Trek post Deep Space Nine. And that's where, like with Voyager especially, because Enterprise really didn't have that problem too bad, but Voyager, it just became ridiculous what the ship's computers could do. And I'm sorry, but when you start, and TNG even did this a few times, when you start having the computer actually create sentient beings just by misstating the parameters of your program, yeah, that's too much. Then you've just basically, that's not, it's just pure fantasy. And Cedric, thank you so much. So it's $20 in, waiting for the little thing to find it, because any second now I know the computer will notice that you donated that 20. So we'll give it a second here. Any day now. Come on. And Robert says voted for the Libertarian. I did too. Where is the... Come on, announcer. Come on, announcer lady. Where are you? I know as soon as I start to read it, then the announcer later will read it. That's how it always works. Let's see. All right, you're not gonna. All right, fine. So Cedric with $20. Thank you again. It's funny. The Klingon was the perfect enemy after after a couple hundred years were allies fight a war for Alpha Quadrant, but the remnant I assume became a fair child, move home for the Vulcan, and the Klingons became isolated. It's funny, the Klingons was the perfect enemy after a couple hundred years were allies fight a war for Alpha Quadrant, but I'm not sure what that is there, Cedric. You're going to have to help me here. But the Rumlant became the fair child, move home with Vulcan, and Klingons become isolated. I'm a little confused. And why is it the announcer voice didn't pick it up? I do not know. But I'm a little confused by that. I'm hoping that Cedric I hope you'll say something in a minute here, because I'm trying to figure out what you mean. And I do think the Klingons are a great villain. I also don't think that the Klingons and the Federation, realistically, not at least as portrayed in TNG and Voyager and Deep Space Nine, the Klingons would not be allies with the Federation for any length of time. It's not even possible. The Klingons are a warrior race that believe that to die in battle is the ultimate way to go out, and yet they're allies with the space pacifists. It makes no sense at all. And so, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense as far as why are the Klingons even allies with the Federation. And I think that eventually Romulan, you say, but the Romulans became the fair child, move home with Vulcans, and the Klingons became, I see what you're saying. So you're kind of, yeah, and that's where I went with my Discovery 2.0. The Klingons are pissed off about what happened with the Romulans because the Federation's helping out the Romulans. Sure, the Romulans fought in the Dominion War out of self-preservation. They were the last ones to come into the conflict. But as far as the Klingons, I think that a war between the Federation and the Klingons is inevitable. So thank you. That makes a lot more sense, though, Cedric. I thought my dyslexia was really going crazy or something. Sounds a lot like Multitronics, but when the lessons learned from the M5 incident taken into account, that could be. I don't know that they've ever actually said how the core of the Enterprise D's computer systems work. But I do think that, like, when you have episodes like Elementary Dear Data, and where the computer can literally make a sentient being, it's taking it too far. I got Brian Singer, Star Trek Federation. We would have gotten a great new enemy called the Scourge, and this enemy would have been like the Daleks of Doctor Who would exterminate. Daniel, doesn't matter. It still never happened, and it's never gonna. It sounds like it could have been great, but and I know you like that stuff, but I'm more concerned with what is rather than what we missed. Biden also talking about lifting travel ban on these countries that have terrorists in them also. I don't know about that. I haven't heard him say anything like that. The problem is that, and this is one of the reasons that I honestly don't follow politics that much, because I keep hearing hyperbole from both sides, right? So everything, the Democrats will say that the Republicans are a bunch of evil racists, blah, 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 blah. And then the Republicans say that the Democrats just want to go to bed with China, right? And so it's like, whatever. And quite frankly, Robert, and it's not you, it's just the way the conversations always go. It's always that guy, everything he wants to do is pure evil. He's evil. He wants to destroy everything. He's bad, 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 not going to listen to anything. He's bad, 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 bad. I don't care. He's president as of tomorrow at noon. And no matter how much you think he cheated, no matter how much you don't like him, he's going to be the president, and he will be your president. And if you don't support him, then, that's your call. But quite frankly, then don't call yourself a Christian. Because the Bible has different things to say. about how you're to treat those in authority above you. Because where did where did that authority come from? Because it didn't come from you. We need an enemy who's just evil for the sake of being evil, an enemy who just wants to exterminate because they can. That's creepy and interesting. Actually, Daniel, the problem is it can be, but only to a point. Like the Borg were a very interesting villain until they tried to, create the Queen, right? But the Borg weren't a mustache-twirling evil entity. The Borg were creepy because of the fact that they were just cold and illogical. They were ultimate expressions of communism, right? Where everybody is 100% equal and even genderless, right? Based on what Q said. And so the Borg are a great, great villain, but not because they're evil for the sake of being evil and wanting to exterminate. In their mind, they're helping everybody by having them join the collective. Because if you join the collective, then obviously they're improving your quality of life, because then you become like the Borg. Because you are Borg at that point. So I don't think just making a villain just to be evil for example, I like Thanos in the MCU, not because Thanos is evil, he is, but because you can understand his motivations. He's not trying to be evil. In his mind, he's trying to save everybody by eliminating half. He's Kodos the Executioner from the original series. He's simply trying to ensure the survival of as many as possible by eliminating half. And, I think that's interesting. Is Remnant Romulan? Yes, it was. Thank you, Captain Trek. Daniel says, sadly, we had no choice but the allies with the Federation because of the Hobus incident. You talking about the Romulans? Well, yeah. And Sci-Fi Nation says, when did the Borg create the Queen? I don't ever recall hearing that on screen. Well, that is weird. So, all right. So I see that, but why didn't it pop up on the screen? Because the alert box is mute. All right, let's try that again. Hold on, There, it actually worked that time. Don't know why it didn't work earlier. But now it's not doing the audio. But thank you, Cedric. My computer hates me. Actually, it's not my computer, it's Streamlabs. But it says, Starfleet, Duotronic, Data, Posse, Typical Brain, Daystrom invented the Dualtronic. Yeah. Well, Starfleet ships Dualtronic, Data, Positronic, yeah. Daystrom invented the Dualtronic. Yeah, I know. Daystrom invented Dualtronic, and he was working on the Multitronic. That's what the M5 was supposed to be. And, all we know is M1 through 4 were not successful. The M5 was a disaster because it tried to kill everybody. And so I would presume, based on what we saw in canon, that the Multitronic concept was abandoned, probably because the M5 slaughtered a whole lot of people. And so, but whatever the Enterprise D is, I think is just, whatever the next breakthrough in computer technology was. Sci-Fi asked, when did the Borg create the Queen? Don't recall hearing that on screen. They didn't say on screen, and the Queen was a complete and total retcon, and that's one of the things I don't like about it. The Queen was in First Contact. When Picard sees the Queen, he then remarks that she was there on the cube when he was assimilated. And so I think that's a big problem, because so now you're retconning her into existing, and the Queen is petty, and the Queen is fallible. And the whole point of why the Borg were so scary is because they had a unified mind, the combined intelligence of all Borg into one, and that meant that, they're not going to make mistakes. And so, but then when you have the Queen as the boss and the Borg are just zombies, they took a lot of the mystery out of the collective, and they took a lot of the scariness out of the collective. And in fact, then they go so far in Picard as to show that the Borg without a Queen go catatonic, right? Because they had thousands of Borg on that cube, and they were just standing there doing nothing until Seven plugged herself in and took the position of being a queen, which makes no sense, because then if we go back to Enterprise and we look at what's the name of that episode now, the Borg one, I can't remember, but it's going to drive Regeneration. In that episode, there were 2 Borg survivors from the Borg sphere. The Queen was not with them, and yet those 2 Borg were fully functional, assimilated more Borg, and they started building a ship in order to get home and to send a signal to where the Federation was. And so, yeah, there's a problem. There's no consistency with the Borg at all. And so I think the Borg, as they were originally presented, were the most badass villain ever. But after Best of Both Worlds, totally wrong. Everything, unfortunately, after Best of Both Worlds, well, you can go as far as saying Borg was interesting enough, but really that's it. Daniel says, excuse me, I'm not saying since the Praxis said the Klingons were strong-armed into becoming allies of the Federation in exchange for dilithium. There was no exchange for dilithium. They were joining the Federation because they needed to in order to survive, because Kronos was going to become uninhabitable within 50 years. And so, but they never said anything about an exchange for dilithium. I hear a lot that the Queen ruined the Borg. I say no, she did not. Well, agree to disagree. Agree to disagree, Daniels. I think that the Queen was an absolute mistake. I think that she, like I said, she's petty and she's fallible. It's 2 things that the Borg should never be. And honestly, and then they turned it into like a ovary measuring contest with her and Janeway in Voyager. And for some reason, Daniel says the MCU. Don't know why. Cinnamon says the TNG era computer was named after the last man killed by the Multitronic computer, the Dr. Elcars. Yes, I love that. But actually, I think if you actually look it up, the computer display system on TOS was actually called Elcars as well. Sci-Fi Nation said, I agreed, it took almost all the scary out of the Borg when the Queen was retconned, especially during Voyager. Yeah, during the Voyager, the Queen was literally just so petty. He's like, oh, that Janeway! You know, it's like, really? You control billions of Borg and tens of thousands of cubes zooming around. You have transwarp conduits everywhere, and you're pissed off because of Janeway. Donnie says, the one with the score by Brian Taylor. I don't know who did the score. That's more your bag. And let's see. Daniel says, that's interesting. Never heard it before. About the Queen taking the scary out of the Borg. Really? You've never heard that? Because I've said it. I think the Borg are they're not scary at all after during the Janeway era. They're just another villain. LCAR stands for Library Access Information Retrieval System. I did not know that either. I just knew that that's what they call it. And honestly, yeah, the LCARs is really just the operating system, not the actual computer. That'd be like saying that, this computer has a Windows processor. No, it doesn't. It has an i9. Windows is the operating system. So LCARs would be the equivalent of Windows, not the equivalent of the i9. So, the M5 was supposedly an improved computer system, but Daystrom had a funky brain that didn't work too well. So yeah, but honestly, that's one of those things that now that I'm going to have a little more time, once I get the first few episodes knocked out of this Discovery 2.0, I'm definitely going to start revisiting the Borg, because that's something I definitely want to talk about. And let's see. Yeah, the Klingons had to ally themselves with the Federation to survive, and they could not conquer and make war because the Federation now holds their leash and it's going to backfire soon. Well, I don't think the Federation was ever holding the Klingons' leash. Brian Taylor did score the Regeneration episode of Enterprise. Same Brian Taylor later scored the 2017 Lionsgate film reboot of Power Rangers. Well, I never saw Power Rangers, nor do I plan to. I'm not a fan. Just saying. But if you know, I don't remember the score for Regeneration specifically, but I'm sure he's a competent musician. I messed it up. The library computer access retrieval. What? It's okay, sci-fi. I'm not grading. Dr. Elcars would be spinning in his grave if he wasn't vaporized. He scored the Fast and Furious movies. The funny thing about the Fast and Furious movies, though, Donnie, is that nobody thinks about the score for those movies. People just remember the pop songs that were inserted into those films. Daniel says, if you corner an admiral, it will eventually attack everyone around. If you corner an animal, it will eventually attack everyone around. I don't think the Klingons are animals. I think they're people. And it's Tyler, not Taylor. Sorry. Douglas says, hey, Trigger, how's it going this evening? Not too bad, Douglas. Hanging in there. About to wrap up, but just kind of hanging out for a little bit with you guys. Was playing some Path of Exile, but nobody cared, so now we're just talking. And, you know, trying to not talk about Trump. That's my goal right now, is just not talk about Trump. Oh, man. I'm so done with that. But hope you are doing well. All right, guys, so unless anybody has something else, I'll give it a second here. But I'll wrap it up there. And just say that Andrew's out there, says, hope you're well. Thank you, my friend. I'm doing okay. And Multi-Gun, where are you guys just popping in now? Now you're popping in? Brian says, how the 3D printers going? I haven't been able to use them in a little bit of time because of my knee. I'm hoping that with some rest, like yesterday and today, I spent most of my day writing and getting the super chats set up so that they work again. And so now that I have OBS kind of set up the way I want it, and I don't have to stress over that, I can focus in on getting more videos done and trying to get some rest, and so I can actually walk. Because I have the printers in the garage, but I can't. It's really difficult for me to access them, which drives me crazy. Because I gotta get Bird's print done. I also got to work on a 3D model I'm doing of a redesign of the Discovery for my Discovery series. So I got a lot to do, but we'll see how it goes in the next few days. Take a little bit of rest, take it one day at a time, and I think that we will all be okay, even though Biden is being sworn in tomorrow. Oh no. Sci-Fi Nation says, Andrew gets more viewers and then complains. Typical turn stating, well, no, I'm not complaining that more. It would have been nice, though, if they were here, like, an hour and a half ago when I started. So, yeah. Brian says, are you still using DaVinci Resolve for video work? Yes, I am. And in fact, I will tell you, version 17 is off the chain. I love it. Version 17 has got some really... It does get a little buggy sometimes because it's still in beta technically, but some of the new features are really, really good. And that's I gotta say, that's really cool. And let's see. Robert says, Tokyo Drift was a good Fast and Furious movie. The latest ones have just become unbelievable. Too much Dwayne Johnson in them. Honestly, Robert, the funny thing about Fast and Furious, look, Tokyo Drift was all right. I think that the guy that I can't remember the guy's name, but the actor that played the main character in it, the biggest problem was that he was like way too old to be playing a high school student. I mean, he looked like he was 30 and he's supposedly in high school. And it's like, they're like, yeah, you're going to get in trouble. Lucky for you, you're under 18. It's like, yeah, right. He is. The stuff that they've done since then, just making the series go crazier and crazier and crazier, I think it's been fun. Stupid, yes, but fun. But the series was stupid from day one. So I didn't have a problem with it. And Dreamers out there say, I think your Disco 2.0 would be cool if you can do CG models for it. Well, that's why I'm working on. I'm actually working on designing the Discovery herself right now. And that's what I'm. That's my next big 3D model that I'm working on. Do a playthrough of Grand Theft Auto. I don't like Grand Theft Auto, Daniel. I just don't like it, and so not going to happen. Night Breeze says hi. How you doing, Night Breeze? Hope you had a good dinner. Daniel says, so there was no open wine stream last Friday unless I missed it and I was not aware. No, honestly, Daniel, I did an early stream on Friday because I forgot about the release of Path of Exile, so I did a marathon stream during the day. It was like 5 hours long, but it wasn't an open line stream. And then, and so Friday night I was just too tired. So I apologize. That's on me. And Brian says, is there a new revision of the USS Anti-Tracker ship design? There will be. That's all I'll say, Brian. That's all I will say. However, if you haven't seen it, the one that I'm... the last ship that I built, and unfortunately the printer, and this is why I got to get to where I can use my legs properly and so I can work on the printers, because it didn't print quite right, and so I need to redo it once I can. But I do have the USS Caroga here. And so the Caroga, the USS Caroga is a Caroga class starship, and as you can see, it is crashing into a rock because it's a Caroga class starship. Put that over there for right now. Let's see. If you could model sets on the bridge, I'm sure. If you could model sets like the bridge, I'm sure myself and others could help draw characters to go into scenes. Then you could do a Disco 2.02 visual. That would be crazy. Tobey Maguire will be filling his scenes for Spider-Man 3. So exciting. When it comes out, I'm looking forward to it, but we'll see. And Sci-Fi Nation says, is Matthew doing a pub tomorrow night? No, he did the pub last night. You may not realize that, but yeah, the pub is on Monday nights now. And so that's, yeah. And Brian likes the ship. Sci-Fi says, son of a bitch. You take that back, right? This is canon here. This is the Caroga class starship right here. And so, you know. And there we go. Daniel says, oh my God, Pedro Pascal just confirmed the Star Wars multiverse. Star Wars will have a multiverse. Daniel, please, I'm going to ask you again. I don't want to know this stuff, all right? I know you love it, but I don't. I don't want to know. Because if it's true, well, now it's spoiled. If it's not true, then now I'm thinking about something that's not going to happen. And Pedro Pascal is not the end-all, be-all. He's an actor. And so, he may not even know what the word multiverse means. Okay, so relax. If you want to, go over to Midnight's Edge, talk to them about it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't. Please, I'm asking you nicely. Stop. Bees Nest says, I'm beyond Kale. No idea what you mean. Multi-Government says, laugh my ass off. Caroga class ship, you got to mass produce that and sell it. It'd be a huge seller. I don't think it would be a huge seller, but I am going to, the first one that I get a successful print on, I will send a bird. But the problem is, if I hold it up this way, you can it's hard to see on the camera, but there's some holes in the print right here, and that's because of a problem with the material that's in between the, it's just there's a film of clear material that the ultraviolet light has to shine through, and if it gets scratched or anything, then you start getting holes in your print. And I need to change that piece of material out, but it's gonna take some serious effort to get that done, and I need to get my knee a little bit better to do that. Let's see. And where was Brian says, hey, Trigger, how's the YouTube channel stats looking? Got to be going up some. Actually, it was doing good for a little while, and then it dropped back down. But that's my own fault because I've been struggling to get any content out. Every time when I put out regular content, the stats move in the right direction. But then whenever I take a couple of days off, they tick back down. So I just got to get better about it. I'm probably going to take up Rock Solid's advice and start the YouTube Shorts thing, but I don't really know much about it, and I'm going to have to explore that a little bit. But I've seen, like, most people that do YouTube Shorts, it's just them talking to the camera for 60 seconds about what's going on. So, I don't know. I'm thinking. Daniel says, did you cry when Spider-Man 4 was canceled? No, because I thought Spider-Man 3 was a train wreck. Sorry, I triggered, slipped. It happens. No, it's all right, Daniel. I get it. I know you love that stuff. I do. I know you love it. To me, it's like unless it's like if I find out spoilers about something that I know is going to be really awesome, right? Which happens all the time. I get disappointed. If somebody, like, I'll tell you, and sometimes people get preconceived notions about how something's going to be. Like, there were certain, like, leaks and stuff over The Rise of Skywalker. That Palpatine was coming back, that Rey was actually Palpatine's granddaughter. Stuff like that leaked before the movie came out. So a lot of people in the Phantom Menace had already decided the movie was a complete disaster before they saw it. So, surprise, surprise, they go see the movie, and they all say, yep, it was just as bad as I said it was going to be. You went in already having it decided. You know, and I'm not interested in that. I want to watch the movie, experience the movie, and make a fair judgment. Was it a great Star Wars movie? No. Was it a complete train wreck? No. It was not The Last Jedi. But it also wasn't Return of the Jedi. So personally, I don't want to know, like, man, I don't want to know, for example, what's going to happen with WandaVision, right? I don't want to know what happens in the last episode of WandaVision until I get to the last episode. Because, and I will tell you, Daniel, if you find out something or you think you know what's going to happen, do not tell me. Because I will get mad because I'm enjoying it so far. And then somebody says, oh, well, you know, the whole thing is just this and this and this. And then bam, now, you know, and the whole point of enjoying the show is the mystery. And so that's a big problem because in this modern internet age, everybody's trying to dig up the spoilers and prejudge everything before it's made. And unfortunately, nobody cares anymore about just enjoying the movie. Everything's got to be dissected before it even comes out. You know, and I get it. You know, sometimes we see a trailer and the trailer looks horrible, and then we'll talk about the trailer. But, you know, like, you know, Wonder Woman 1984, the trailer looked horrible. I still haven't watched it. But you know, but when I watch it, I'm going to decide based on what I think of the movie, not based on what, you know, somebody told me to think about the movie. Let's see. Do you think new Star Trek series will have ship fleets that are completely holographic? Don't know, but if they do, that's a really stupid idea, honestly. I at least in my humble opinion. Because what happens if you're on a holographic ship and the power goes out? Daniel says, if you were on the writing staff Strange New Worlds and you were responsible for aligning with with TOS, how would the Disco Prize become the TOS Constitution? How would you do it? Timeline reset. That's the only way. Honestly, there's two. It's not just a matter of the Enterprise that we saw in Discovery Season 2 not looking like a Connie. The technology in every appreciable way in Discovery is more advanced than it is in the Next Generation or Voyager. Right? They have holographic communications. That was experimental in Deep Space Nine. Right? So the only way to fix it is honestly to reboot it. What you have to do, and honestly would start with Discovery. What I think they should do is, you know, hey, they met Carl, right, the Guardian Forever. So they use Carl to go back in time, and they do something and it changes the timeline, and so now all of a sudden everything looks like TOS. That's the only way you can do it at this point. They've taken it so far that there's no real way to fix it. But honestly, if the worst thing about Strange New Worlds is the look of the Enterprise, I'll be okay with it, because it's a nice looking ship, even if it doesn't look right. If the stories are great, and if it feels like Star Trek, I'll be on board. I'll whine about it every now and then that it should look like the classic Enterprise, but I can get behind it if it's good. The problem with Discovery, and by the way, the same conversations, by the way, had happened in TNG. I know a lot of people don't remember this because most of y'all are too young, but back in 1986, I was pissed off when I saw TNG. First of all, Command doesn't wear freaking red. Everybody knows Command wears gold. Red shirts wear red, right? What's going on here? The only thing they got right as far as the color scheme was the science division, but hey, whatever. The communicator badges, okay, I can kind of see that. But what the heck why is the entire interior of the ship beige? That makes no effing sense. At least the original ship looked like it was a ship. This looks like it's a hotel. And so there were all these things, right, and that I did not like about the show. It did not feel like Trek. But then we got episodes like Best of Both Worlds. We got episodes like The Inner Light. We got episodes like Darmok. We got all these great things started to happen. And guess what happens when you do great things? You know what? I still don't care for the Galaxy-class ship. I still don't care for the uniforms. But you know what? That's a damn good show. And so I'm okay with it. They made the uniforms better when they got around to Deep Space Nine. Okay. Not a fan of the Defiant, but hey, still, I like Deep Space Nine. Runabouts were kind of cool. And so they, but I can get past aesthetics being off if the show is awesome. The only reason the aesthetics of Discovery bother me is because the show sucks. Brian says, hey, in Discovery, why have detachable nacelles? Because they're stupid. I don't know. It makes no sense. All right. There is no logical reason. It makes zero logical reason whatsoever to have detachable. Well, I mean, detachable is one thing, because technically speaking, the nacelles of any starship are detachable. I mean, remember in the Apple, I think it was, is that Kirk ordered Scotty to detach the nacelles if he had to get the ship out of orbit. But so you can blow them off, but to have them like held in place by some kind of sophisticated tractor beam seems like a lot of resources spent for nothing. But they wanted to do it because they thought it looked cool. Channel reviews, previews for relevant scores from sites like Rotten Tomato. No listed to critic score in the 80s. No one does now. Nothing. Wait, huh? Channel reviews, previews on irrelevant scores from sites like Rotten Tomatoes. No listed to critic scores in the 80s. No one does now. Nothing has changed except getting views. Sci-fi. I'm confused. I don't follow what you're saying there. Then it says, so we could say some calamity happened, maybe Control returned and destroyed a lot of the Federation, the disco tech, and on top of that, maybe there's Federation Tholian War. No. I'm sorry. You know what, Daniel? That's not going to work. Because as it is, the Klingon War makes no sense. And so, no, we don't need another freaking war. Star Trek is not supposed to be war after war after war. It's Mrs. Anti-Checker telling me I need to get off here in a minute, so we're going to be wrapping it up. The Enterprise D was the USS Love Boat. Indeed, it was Captain Trek, and I did like when Patrick Stewart hosted Saturday Night Live, and that's exactly what they did. And to see Patrick Stewart wearing Captain Stubing's outfit on the bridge of the Enterprise was hilarious. The Enterprise E was more return to form. No, I think the Enterprise E, I mean, it was better than the D, I'll give you that, but I still think that too big, too powerful. It's just They make the ships almost into Mary Sue's. Captain Trek says, you're wrong about the Defiant. What, that I didn't like it? No, I'm not. I mean, you can like it. That's fine. If you like the ship, great, groovy. That's your choice. I don't like it. I think the design doesn't feel like Trek at all. And it doesn't look like every other Federation starship, you take one look at it and you recognize it's a Federation starship. Even on Discovery, as dumb as some of those ships look, you look at them and you say, that's a Federation starship. The Klingons, that's a whole other story. But with the Federation ships, they look like Federation ships for the most part. The Defiant is the only exception. The Enterprise E was more return to form, though. It was better than the D, like I said. Oh, I already read that. Galaxy class was supposed to be a hotel in space. Starfleet was in its golden age of peace. Well, I still think it sucked. I remember how people were pissed off when DS9 was announced because it didn't take place on a starship. I also agree with you about the Galaxy class ship. I think it's ugly. Yeah, it's just a dog ugly ship. And granted, if it served a good purpose, I could see that. But honestly, having thousands of people and having women and children and, whole families on the ship, that's stupid. I'm sorry, that is stupid. I mean, how, in those 18 people that were killed by the Borg, how many of them were kids? Was that like was that the daycare center? So all the calamity destroyed the Federation and the tech, and no, Daniel, no. First of all, that's not how war works. All right, just because you have a big war doesn't mean technology suddenly reverts back. Right? After World War II, guess what? Airplanes were more advanced, and all sorts of other technology was more advanced. War accelerates technological growth; it does not retard it. And certainly does not reverse it. Not unless you're talking full-on annihilation of everything, which the Federation couldn't bounce back from in a matter of a couple of years, which is what it would have to do in order for the timeline to match up. So, no. Captain Trek says, I believe it means no one listened to the critic scores. Oh, okay. That makes a little more sense. Dreams out there says Control was never mentioned again after season 2. They stopped Control into season 2. There wasn't even a reason to go into the future except to see the people are alive. Yeah. And Control was a stupid idea. I'm sorry. I mean, Control literally was a computer system that was controlling almost all of Starfleet simultaneously. And then 11 years later, they had to come up with the M5? Come on. Hey, entering in 200 years, we invented airplanes and spaceships. Shouldn't ships in Discovery's 900 years be a lot different than Trek now? Well, you would think so. But yeah, it seems like the funny thing is that, yeah, in the 32nd century, I think is where they are, there's not a significant technological advancement from the 23rd century, according to Discovery. Because aside from, they said, okay, we upgraded everything. Nothing looks different. I mean, yeah, they have their nifty little hologram projectors in their comm badges, but the ship doesn't look any different, except now the warp nacelles detach. That's the difference, apparently. Because nothing else about it looks different. And, the repair droids were already there, so I don't know. I don't get it. Remember the conversation we had about the pre-flood civilization, how advanced it was, but after the flood had to arrest the biblical age and the death of Christ. Yeah, but I don't buy that. There's no real evidence to it. I don't buy that before the Noatic flood that mankind had more advanced technology. And besides that, it took more than 11 years for the Earth to be repopulated. So even if you want to take that, like let's say that humans were more advanced than they are today, then the Noatic flood happens, wipes everybody out, and now all of a sudden we're starting at square one again with Noah, right? Fine. Guess what? You have 11 years from the time of Discovery to the original series. If you wiped out the Federation after season 2, now at the most you got 10 years. So you wipe everything out. Now you got 10 years to reinvent all technology. Ain't gonna happen. It's not possible. It doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever. Professor Brainy Spax putting a sad face in. I'm sorry, Professor. Don't know why, but I hope you're doing well, my friend. Daniel says, after the fall of Rome, we had a dark ages, so civilization go dark down and humanity does regress. technology did not disappear after the... That's not what the... I'm not going to argue about it. Daniel, it's not like... First of all, they didn't have computers in Rome, right? They didn't exist. They didn't... Mankind didn't suddenly forget how to write. They didn't forget how to make roads. They didn't, some specific techniques for doing something might have gotten lost, but technology didn't just massively disappear. And there's a difference between remembering, today, very few people know how to do masonry work, right? Because it's a lost art. But that doesn't mean that, oh no, now we can't make a good brick wall. Sure we can. We just don't do it the way we used to. Because technology has moved beyond that, right? Very few people know how to make a log cabin, right? Like, if I gave you an axe and sent you out into the woods, could you make a log cabin? Probably not. However, nowadays, you don't need to, because we have more modern construction techniques. So, it doesn't matter that certain things are lost, because something else invariably replaces it. Let's see. Microwave ovens were discovered on accident because radar technology being refined and upgraded. The first ones to market were water-cooled and called radar ranges. I remember my grandmother had a radar range. In your rewatch, did you notice the touchscreen holo controls on the Bridge of Discovery comes season 2? Those displays are glass, and they quietly got rid of the holo displays. Yeah, but the problem is that they're still using holograms like for basic communications and stuff. Dinosaur ship and Voyager seem more advanced than the future's tech in Star Trek Discovery. I haven't watched that. I haven't watched Voyager in a very long time. I'm gonna have to rewatch that one. But I'm talking about Federation technology. I'm not talking about some alien. I'm talking about the Voyager is the technology of the Federation from Voyager, not the dinosaur ship. The dinosaur ship was an alien race. All right, that'd be like saying, well, the Borg were more advanced. Well, the Borg weren't the Federation. Discovery is more advanced than Voyager. That's the problem. Not that the dinosaur ship is more advanced. Discovery is more advanced than Voyager. After World War II, we went into Korea in the 50s, and there was Cold War in Vietnam in the 60s and 80s, and then we had the Gulf War in the 90s and the war in Afghanistan in the early 2000s. Yes, and technology has boomed that entire time. From World War II to today, dude, everything in front of me did not exist at World War II time, except for maybe the desk itself, and even that is a modern construction that didn't exist in World War II. Simple things that you take for granted didn't exist at World War II, right? Plastic cups. That didn't exist. Cell phone, anybody? So, hey, how about available, effective medication? Technology absolutely boomed in the latter half of the 20th century. And a lot of it is because of the continuous state of war that man has been in. War breeds innovation. It's not a pleasant fact, but it is a fact. Guess why we sent men to the moon? Because we were developing rockets to fight the Germans. So, yeah. Anyway. Are you optimistic about the start of this year, 2021? Brian, honestly, yes, I am. But I'm also nervous. I've got to get my YouTube channel thing going because otherwise I'm going to be completely broke in a matter of weeks. And that's not a good thing. So, yeah, got to... it's going to be a make or break year. That's all I can say. Dinosaur ships from the race of dinosaurs that came from Earth. Are dinosaurs alien? Well, they were alien to the people on Voyager. But that's the point there, sci-fi, is that the dinosaur ship was not a Federation starship. And YJ blames Roswell. Of course you do. Ask Darren about the moon. I'm not even going there, Professor. But I'll argue with Darren about flat Earth. We argue about that all the time in private. But that's... and sci-fi. I'm not trying to give a history lesson. I'm just saying that as far as rocket technology would not exist if not for World War II. That's my point. I'm not trying to argue who made what advancements and all that. All right? I'm not an expert on history. Don't claim to be. However, one thing that is true is that, technology always advances during times of war because war necessitates it. One side invents a better weapon, so the other side better get to work coming up with a counter to it. Anyway. And a lot of people think moon landing was a hoax. Well, I'm not one of them. I know that there are people that genuinely believe that. I don't see... the problem with... And I am going to finish here in just a second, but I do want to say this. So when we get into conspiracy theories, the problem with a conspiracy theory is that they're never based on actual evidence. They're always based on, hey, here's something that doesn't seem quite right, so let me come up with this crazy reason that this might be true, right? And so somebody sees a picture of an astronaut on the moon. They're like, where the heck are the stars? Oh, it's because it's all on a film stage somewhere, right? And so when in actuality, well, no, it has to do with the way the cameras work. But, fine. You want to believe that? Whatever. But the way, because you don't have an atmosphere and you're in direct sunlight and that kind of thing. But the problem is that the people, they come up with an idea with no evidence whatsoever, and they decide, you know what? Nope, what everybody believes is wrong. This theory is 100% true. Based on what? Well, because I think that picture is fake. Even if that picture is fake, where's your evidence that your alternative is true? Because, and this is something I've argued with people who do believe in the flat Earth idea, is that even if I accept 100% that when you show me a picture of, people show like a blurry blob and they say, this is what, Jupiter looks like through a telescope. And then they'll show this beautiful, perfectly rendered image of Jupiter. And this is CGI, right? Okay. Say that's 100% true, right? And there's no such thing as a good image of Jupiter, even though I have personally seen Jupiter through a telescope with my own eyes, and you could see it. While I couldn't see it quite at the level of the great computer-enhanced imagery, you can make out the bands, you could see the red spot, you could see a couple of moons. If you have a decent telescope, you can see a lot out there. So I saw that with my own eyes, but let's just pretend that the blurry blob is all anybody has ever seen. That doesn't support an alternative theory. All that is doing is trying to poke holes at the existing belief. And there's a difference between the two. Poking holes at something is not the same as proving your case. And the problem is that almost every piece of evidence that I've seen has been shady at best. But images that look like they're enhanced in some way, or images that look like, or that are distorted. One person, and I don't know if you're listening, Darren. If you are, I'm not trying to pick on you, but you showed this to me. This guy put up a video trying to show how airplane routes are curved on the map because the Earth is actually flat, right? So he shows this map of the Earth, and he shows how the airplane route kind of curves out and then goes and then curves back when flying from, it was like Tokyo to, I think like Chicago or Seattle or something, right? And he was like, see, that doesn't make sense because it should be a straight line. And when he draws his flat Earth map, he just draws a straight line. Well, so the problem was that if you go to an actual globe and you take a piece of string and you go from Tokyo to that other person, guess what? It follows the exact route of his straight line. The only reason it's curved on the map is because the map is distorted because it's not perfectly adjusted for the curvature of the Earth. Because when you look at a map, it's usually obviously Antarctica isn't is not super long, even though it occupies the entire bottom of the map. But it's actually much smaller because it's warped because the map is stretched out. So That's a problem. And so, but hey, but you poke a hole in the airplane routes, that's still not proof that what you're saying is true. And the problem is you're not using good information. Anyway, you were there. You were there? Did we or did we not go to the moon? You know, funny you should say that, dreamers out there. I actually watched the first man walk on the moon live on television. And I will never forget that date. I was only 1 at the time, but I remember it like it was yesterday. Brian says, hey, Andrew, Capricorn 1 movie might be a good movie for a movie night on the channel. I actually saw Capricorn 1 in theaters. Speaking of conspiracies, theory, how much you want to bet people will think Biden will be the Antichrist? Oh, people, first of all, Daniel, every presidential election, there are people that think the new president is the Antichrist. It doesn't matter who wins. Every single time. There's some nut job out there saying he's the Antichrist. Have fun with that. If he is, well, we'll find out soon enough. If he's not, then stop calling him that. Why don't we just see what he does? And that is true. It's not a bad movie, so there's that. Planet and the moons are round, yet Earth is flat. Well, depends on who you ask, because some people will argue that they're discs, right? And of course, they'll argue that you've only seen blurry, blobby images when you see a real image, that the pristine, beautiful pictures you see are just computer-generated imagery. But the problem is that, and this is where I got on some of the flat earthers I know, because they'll present that kind of an argument and say, well, you see, this blurry image is not really what you see. What you see is, or what this pristine, clear image is not what you see. It's the blurry image. Look, you have a decent telescope, you focus it on the moon, you can see the craters, you can see the depth of the moon. You have a good telescope, you can see some detail on Saturn, on Jupiter, and on Mars, right? So, and my parents, had a very nice telescope, and we lived out in the country far away from any city lights. So I used to love looking at the planets at night. And so I know very well what they look like. And I'm pretty sure that it's, they're spheres. But that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. And I trust what I saw with my own eyes more than I believe any argument that shows me 2 pictures, one of which I know is not true. Anyway, I am going to wrap it up there, guys, because I do need to get downstairs. Ms. Antricker's waiting for me. So thank you for hanging out with me. And, live long and prosper, Jolan True, and see you guys on Thursday night. We'll be hanging out with Orville Nation and have a little fun with Mr. Opray 5. He's a clone. Just remember, he is a clone.
How are we going to be able to get it in the hole? That's the question. That is the $1 million question. It's not as easy to get in the hole as you think. Come on. Come on. Get. Ah, shit. Oh, well. It was a valiant attempt. But yeah, I think we're going to need something a little more specialized. Although, we could try to back it in. Come on. Come on. So close. Ah. Yes. Oh God, so close. Come on, just go in. Oh yes, the tip is in. That counts. That totally counts. Okay. Ah. Okay, come on. No. We're right there. Oh, we're so close. We're so close. Yes! Hallelujah! Ah, fuck yeah. I love having sex with she-males. How are we going to be able to get it in the hole? That's the question. And that is the $1 million question. It's not as easy to get in the hole as you think. Come on. Come on. Get. Ah, shit. Well. It was a valiant attempt. But yeah, I think we're going to need something a little more specialized. Although, we could try to back it in. Come on. How are we going to be able to get it in the hole? That's the question. And that is the $1 million question. Ah, shit. Well. It was a valiant attempt.